Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into something you literally probably have sitting in your medicine cabinet right this second: hydrogen peroxide, or H2O2. But, we're not talking about cleaning scraped knees today. No, we're looking at how modern, high-tech agriculture uses this exact same liquid as a highly strategic, totally clean chemical weapon. Honestly, if you think hydrogen peroxide is just some basic household disinfectant, well, prepare to have your mind absolutely blown. When you actually understand it and apply it correctly, this simple compound can completely revolutionize your garden's health. It's a real game changer, acting as everything from a rapid seed starter to an absolute emergency room for root rot.
Okay, let's dive right into this roadmap. We'll kick things off with the dual action mechanism, then we'll move into seeds and substrate prep, hit the root rot emergency room, talk about hydroponics and oxygen, and finally wrap up with the absolute golden rules and dilutions. So, Section 1, the dual action mechanism. Now, you might be wondering, what makes it so special? Well, notice the fundamental difference between water and hydrogen peroxide here. Water is obviously H2O, but hydrogen peroxide, it's H2O2. It has this one extra highly unstable oxygen atom. And let me tell you, that instability is literally its superpower. In phase 1, it acts like a microscopic attack squad. That extra oxygen atom is just incredibly volatile, so it actively hunts down and oxidizes the cell walls of harmful fungi and bacteria. It just destroys them on contact. But here's where the real magic happens. Phase 2. Once that extra atom has reacted, what's left behind? Simply H2O and O2. It instantly transforms into pure water and life-giving oxygen gas for your roots. There's zero toxic residue, no heavy metals, no nasty chemical buildup. Basically, it's a completely clean kill, instantly followed by a literal breath of fresh air. All right, Section 2, seeds and substrate prep. So when you're starting seeds, especially those with really thick, stubborn shells, germination can feel like this endless, frustrating waiting game. But by treating your seeds and soil substrate with hydrogen peroxide, you're knocking out multiple birds with one stone. First off, the oxidizing action actually chemically softens that hard seed coat, completely breaking the seed's natural dormancy. Second, it acts as a hardcore sanitizer, wiping out surface pathogens like Salmonella, Listeria, and E. coli. But here's the absolute best part. As it breaks down, it pumps fresh oxygen directly into the seed embryo. I mean, seeds need oxygen to sprout, right? This gives them a massive, localized boost that drastically speeds up the whole germination process, all while completely sterilizing your soil of fungus and insect eggs. For those of you wanting the exact actionable data, here is your precise seed treatment recipe. You're going to want to mix exactly 60 milliliters of 3% hydrogen peroxide into 1 liter of water. Just soak your seeds in the solution for anywhere from 1 to 4 hours, really depending on how thick that seed coat is. And quick side note, after the soak, make absolutely sure you rinse those seeds super thoroughly under clean running water before planting. Seriously, this one simple step can just dramatically increase your germination success rate. Moving on to Section 3, the root rot emergency room. Take a look at this equation. Basic soil physics tells us that normal soil respiration demands oxygen to break down organic matter and release carbon dioxide. In fact, to put it into perspective, plant roots actually need an oxygen concentration of roughly 5 to 10% right there in the soil just to function normally. But what happens when it rains for days on end, or, let's be honest, you accidentally overwater? The soil gets totally waterlogged. Those crucial air pockets just vanish. Your plant's roots literally start suffocating, and the whole soil environment turns anaerobic, which basically means without oxygen. When that happens, toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide and methane start building up, and it poisons your poor plant from the bottom up. So the crucial point we need to grasp is this devastating chain reaction. Step 1, the waterlogged soil suffocates the roots. Step 2, because there's absolutely no oxygen down there, deadly anaerobic pathogens like that nasty Phytophthora fungus just completely take over and rot the roots into a gross, mushy mess. And guys, this is a massive problem, especially for high-value crops like mature durian trees during the rainy season, or even just your really prized ornamental indoor plants. But here comes step 3, your emergency intervention. By pouring a diluted hydrogen peroxide solution straight into that waterlogged soil, you are violently interrupting that anaerobic process. The H2O2 chemically attacks the rot-causing fungus and at the exact same time releases this massive, life-saving dose of pure oxygen right at the root zone. It literally gives a drowning plant a fighting chance to survive. You'll actually see the soil bubbling and fizzing as it goes to work. If you ever find yourself facing a full-blown root rot emergency, these are your rescue steps. Treat the soil with 20 to 30 milliliters of 3% hydrogen peroxide per 1 liter of water, but please pay very, very close attention to steps 2 and 3. Remember, hydrogen peroxide is completely non-selective. It's like a biological smart bomb. It absolutely obliterates the bad anaerobic bacteria, but it's going to wipe out the good beneficial microbes in your soil too. Because of this, after you treat the soil, you absolutely have to wait 3 to 5 days for the peroxide to fully break down into harmless water and oxygen. Once it's gone, and only once it's gone, you must re-inoculate your soil with beneficial microbes, like trichoderma fungi. You have to rebuild the soil's immune system. If you skip this, your newly sterile soil is just a sitting duck and will definitely get infected all over again.
Which brings us to Section 4, Hydroponics and Oxygen. Let's see how all this builds on our understanding of oxygen, specifically in high-tech farming. In hydroponics, plants are growing directly in nutrient water, but you're fighting a strict law of physics here. As the temperature of the water rises, its ability to hold dissolved oxygen, or DO, drops off a cliff. So when that hot weather hits, your hydroponic water becomes totally oxygen-starved. Even though the roots are literally swimming in water, they are suffocating. And where does that lead? Yep, straight back to our old familiar enemy, root rot. To fix this hidden crisis, hydroponic growers use a highly precise microdose of hydrogen peroxide. By adding just 5 to 10 milliliters of 3% H2O2 per 1 liter of nutrient water, you instantly spike those dissolved oxygen levels, keeping the root systems bright white, clean, and perfectly healthy. However, huge warning here. Precision is absolutely everything. If you accidentally overdose the system, the powerful oxidizing nature of the peroxide will actually oxidize the micronutrients right out of your water. They'll precipitate out, basically falling to the bottom of the tank as useless sludge. The roots won't be able to absorb a thing, and you'll literally end up starving your plants by mistake. Finally, Section 5, Golden Rules and Dilutions. Okay, so there is this incredibly dangerous myth floating around online that store-bought 3% hydrogen peroxide is, weak enough to just spray directly onto your plants without diluting it. Do not do this. Seriously, take it from a Reddit user named Give Me My Name Back PLZ. They went onto a houseplant forum to frantically warn others after accidentally burning the leaves off their highly prized, expensive, variegated monstera. They sprayed straight 3% peroxide right onto the foliage to treat a tiny pest issue, and the sheer oxidative stress caused massive chemical burns and dead brown spots all over. The lesson? Always, always dilute. And this brilliantly illustrates why you need exact measurements. Here are your specific dilution ratios based on your exact goal, and this is all assuming you're starting with a standard 3% hydrogen peroxide base. For seed soaking, it's 60 milliliters per liter. For a full-on root rot rescue, you need a stronger punch, so 20 to 30 milliliters per liter. For just general watering, routine maintenance, or maybe a super mild pest spray, drop that way down to 10 to 15 milliliters per liter, which, by the way, is roughly 2 teaspoons per gallon if you're using Imperial. And for completely sterilizing empty soil substrate or scrubbing out old pots, you can safely use a much stronger 1 to 20 ratio. Now, as we wrap things up today, we really have to address a couple of the most highly searched critical safety questions about hydrogen peroxide. Specifically, people always ask, can you mix it with household items like vinegar to make some kind of super pesticide? And exactly how does it interact with the good microbes in your soil long term? All right, here are your absolute non-negotiable golden rules. First up, never, under any circumstances whatsoever, mix hydrogen peroxide with vinegar, acids, or bleach. Combining them actually creates highly toxic, dangerous gases. Just don't do it. Second, like we talked about with the durian trees, H2O2 is completely non-selective. It will wipe out your beneficial microbes just as ruthlessly as the pathogens. So never mix hydrogen peroxide directly in the same batch with microbial fertilizers or inoculants. You always have to separate those treatments by a few days. Next, be highly, highly aware of the concentration you're actually buying. Some industrial agricultural peroxide is sold at a terrifying 35% or even 50% strength. You absolutely must dilute that down to a 3% base first before you even attempt any of the recipes we covered today. And obviously, if you're ever handling those high industrial concentrations, you've got to wear proper eye protection and gloves to prevent severe chemical burns. Ultimately, by really respecting its raw power and adhering strictly to the science of dilution, you can completely transform this basic household liquid into an elite, highly effective tool for your garden.
It attacks the bad, it nourishes with the good, and it leaves absolutely nothing behind but pure water and breathability. So, considering everything we've unpacked today, are you ready to harness the precise power of this clean chemical to completely revolutionize your garden's health? Or are you going to leave your plants to just fend for themselves the next time root rot inevitably strikes? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Definitely use these dilution tables wisely, and as always, happy growing!